Thank you.
I'd like to thank very much the people that invited me to this talk. Let me try to see what we're going to talk about. I will go rapidly through the first two items. You don't hear me? Should I increase the volume? Is that better? So, what I'm going to talk about, I will go rapidly through the first two issues, no? And I will spend a little bit more time talking about challenges. The idea is, what it is special in supporting people working in public policy. Aiding to decide is a profession which is rather older. It has been developed basically for private business, no? So why supporting people making public policy is different, in what it is different, and how this changes our profession as decision analysts, no? Now, what's a public policy? I will be very schematic, no? The public policy is an irreversible allocation of public resources, no? And it is expected to deliver, no, objectives which are set by some stakeholders, no? Now, what makes it different with respect to a strategy of a private business, no? Well, there are a number of things, and I will specify 5 of them, no? The first one is about legitimation and accountability, which is a very peculiar issue of public policy. Second one is about time, then participation, the concept of public resources, and deliberation. These are 5 features that most private business will not have in their decision making. No? Now, let's go more in details. No? What does it mean, legitimating? It is not, it is a legitimation of discussing, it is a legitimation of acting, it is a legitimation of participating, of setting an agenda. No? Legitimation is a very large concept. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that in public policy, it is not clear, no, what are the sources of legitimation. Who is legitimated to be there? No? You see, imagine a theater, no? And somebody acting, no? Who is legitimated to be here on the stage, no? Is set by some, by the movie maker, the theater maker, no? But who is legitimated to come on the stage in a public decision process, no? He could occupy the seat, for instance, no? Without any other legitimation. We will see why this happens, no? So policy making, ultimately, is something that constructs legitimation spaces. Whatever we do, no, when we work, no, with public policy, no, is at the end of the day, no, constructing a legitimation space, no, a place where people seek legitimation or bring legitimation. What's the difference in time? Time in public policy is long. And it could be so long that it could span generations. No? The life cycle of a public policy could be something that has to do with several generations. Consider, for instance, the public policy concerning nuclear waste. No? The life cycle of that are thousands of years. No? Now, it's not only that it's very long, it is also variable dense. There is no, it's not a regular flowing of the time. No? Deliberations, which we are going to talk a little bit afterwards, no, represent a variation of the density of time, no, in public policy. No? And there is a diversity of agendas for three big categories of stakeholders. No? So decision makers or policy makers or politicians have a certain type of agenda which has to do with the stakes they have, for instance, being re-elected. No? So typically an agenda of a policy maker is, let's say, 4 to 5 years. No? Experts or technical staff agendas are much longer. No? They have to do with the expert knowledge they have. Citizens' agendas could be also very different. No? So the time and the way through which the time sets an agenda in a policy-making process, the different stakeholders manage it in a different way. No? Now, participation. This is something that is becoming increasingly the case in these years, and has to do with two, let's say, phenomena. One is mistrust. People do not trust anybody. Typical sources of representation, of delegation. And this has to do also with what we call social fragmentation. What typically has been the structure by which social groups delegate representativeness to somebody do not work anymore. No? So the result of that is that everybody wants to participate. No? You add to that today it's much easier to do it. There is technology, which at least gives the impression that you participate. No? Now, what are the issues that this raises? First of all is what I've already said, participation is the fact. It has to do with the public characteristic of a policy. No? We will see it immediately after when we talk about public resources. No? But people feel legitimated to participate because they are citizens. They don't need any other source of legitimation to participate. So they come on the scene. No? It can be done in a formal way and an informal way, but it happens. No? Which means that there are two issues we have to consider. One, it is what are the structures through which participation is managed? No? There are different ways through which participation can be managed. And the second one is how much efficiency we want to lose in order to allow more participation. Democracy and efficiency are two orthogonal issues. No? The more efficient you are, the less democratic you are. The more democratic you are, the less efficient you are. No? So if we want to allow people, let's say, participating at 100%, we should accept the idea not to decide. Because this is what participation means. No? It means that at a certain point the process would be blocked. No decision. No? So we have to be aware on how much are we willing to accept a situation where a society, an organization, a group or whatever does not decide, remains stalled. Okay? Now, public resources, as I've said at the beginning, a public policy is an irreversible allocation of public resources. No? What are public resources? Well, there are things very obvious, access, for instance. There are natural resources, water, soil, air, and things like that. But there are also other intangible things like authority. No? It is a resource with which we can share, we can give, we can sell, potentially. No? And also resources that are out of a market. No? For instance, citizenship. No? This is a crucial point. No? If there are resources that do not have a market, and they will never have a market, for several reasons, no? It means that we cannot use an idea of a market or of a proxy or whatever comes with, no, in order to know the value of this resource. What's the value of citizenship? What's the value of inclusion, for instance? No? We may have a value of aesthetics, for instance, through a proxy market of aesthetics. But we cannot have a market for, we cannot have a value through a market for citizenship. No? So it means that in our reasoning, no, there are resources which have a value, but it's not defined by a market, and it will never be defined by a market. No? Which is a big constraint. No? Now, the last characteristic of public policy is deliberation. No? Things in the public arena happen through public deliberations, a law, for instance, a decree, a decision of a council. No? These are public actions. No? There is public discussion, there is public arguing, there is public assessment. No? This aspect of things happening in the public arena is something which is extremely important. No? Why? Because this publicity acts on legitimation. No? People get legitimated, among other, no? Because of this public activity. So things need to happen on the public arena. No? Okay, so if these are specific characteristics, let's say, of public policy making, no, we need to tailor a methodology, no, which needs to be something custom-made for aiding policy making. No? Now, this one I will call it policy analytics. And I will try to give you 4 distinctive features, no, of what this methodology should handle. No? It should be something that allows to support the whole policy cycle. No? A policy has a life cycle, starting from setting an agenda up to modifying the policy at a certain moment, no, out of some feedback. No? Well, we need to be able to support policymakers in all these different stages of the policy cycle. No? So we need to support them in setting an agenda, we need to support them in understanding what the problem is, in assessing, in evaluating, in monitoring, in discussing, in arguing. No? There are several different moments in which decision support is requested. No? And it's not always the same type of support which is requested. So we need to tailor things for all these different stages. No? I don't have now the time to go in details on that, and I suppose that it's almost impossible to read this one. No? But there is a paper published which says more on this aspect. No? Now, the second one is the idea of construction of sense. It's easier to understand it through an example. No? Considering a fact, no? You are conducting some study, let's say, no? In a country in the developing world, no? And there is a fact which says that 95% of the rural households do not have access to water. No? What does it mean that? No? What you should decide out of that. This is a hard fact. It's really hard statistics. You know that this is the case. No? Intuitively, somebody would say, well, that will mean no, a priority in establishing a policy, no, of allowing rural households to get connected to fresh water. No? Now, interestingly, you conduct a survey among the rural households, and the survey tells that there are other priorities. No? For instance, health, no? Or access to market, no? Streets, no? Water, no? yes, it's a problem, but not really a big problem. This is surprising. Water is really a very important, no? It's a key resource in everyday life, no? So why these people do not care about water, no? Then somebody observes that householders are men, no? While who fetch the water to households are women, no? So men really do not have a problem with water because there is water in house, no? They don't fetch it, no? So they don't see the problem. So perhaps if we make the survey, if we restrict the survey to the women, we will have a different idea, no? It's not easy to make a survey addressing only women, no? But we managed to do it. And then surprisingly, no, water is not a problem. What's the problem? The problem is allowing young girls to go to school, for instance. That's a big priority. No, water, no, yes. But yes, we fetch the water. It's really surprising because it's a hard task. No? If you go in these countries and you see how water is fetched, it's really tough. No? So why the women do not considering this as being a priority? So you have to dig further, no? Until you realize that going to fetch the water is the only activity the women can do outside of house without a permission. If we connect households to this water distribution, no, we will build beautiful jails for the women. So everything is a priority, but not water. Because this is the only occasion they have to have some social life. No? So you see, how will you construct a sense out of a fact? What does it, who, no, should construct this sense? No? What is important? No? Whose values count, no, in giving a sense to this fact? No? Very often, no, we are driven by our values for something that does not concern ourselves. No? And this bias is among the big things that makes big disasters. No? So how do we construct sense, no, out of the things we observe? Data-driven and value-driven. No? To some extent it is related to what I was saying before. No? As you see, decision-making can never be, no, only data-driven. No? It will always need to put together values. No? However, no, the problem is where stands the validity of the information we are using? No? Both as far as, let's say, statistics, data is concerned, but also as far as values are concerned. No? Now, there are three ways to check validity. No? The first one is meaningfulness. No? What does it mean, meaningfulness? There are precise ways through which we measure things. No? You cannot measure things in any way. No? There is measurement theory. There are axioms that tells you, and theorems that tells you under what conditions you can measure something. No? And it makes sense. No? For instance, I regularly see in applications, no, people, no, which model criteria and then look for weights. This is meaningfulness. There is no sense. If you model a criterion, you don't need to know the weights. The weights are in the model of the criterion. No? This second type of question, it's meaningless. No? So this is the part of theory. No? There is a second part, which is usefulness. You need to know information which is meaningful, which is coherent, which is theoretically well-founded, but it needs to be also useful. No? It needs to be appropriate for that decision process that you are considering. No? So you can have meaningful information which is useless. So you have to pay attention in doing that. But then you also need to have legitimate information. No? Just to give an example, in several countries outside Europe, you can make statistics about races. So for instance, you can make a statistic about the inclusion of black people in the United States. This is meaningful and potentially useful, but in Europe it's not legitimate. You cannot use it. So you can have meaningful and useful information, but it could be not legitimated. So when you use information, you have to pay attention to these three dimensions. The fact that it has to be correctly organized, that it has to be useful, and it has to be legitimated. Now, the other thing is that since we are talking about values and construction of sense, most of the times this is subjective. This has to do with my values, his values, her values, the decision maker values, some stakeholder values, the client values, but these are subjective values. Well, the fact that we have subjective values does not mean we cannot make it rigorously. Measuring subjective values, measuring society values, subjective society values, is possible, and it can be done in a very rigorous and precise way. Ultimately, decisions are subjective actions, because responsibility is subjective. So, what you need is to do it correctly. Last but not least, about policy analytics. We need to go beyond what has been the traditional way through which people supporting policy making have worked until today. What I mean by that, most of the times until today, we have been asked to do something when the agenda, the problem, the alternatives have been set. Well, now the time is to go there where alternatives, policies are designed, and help in designing policies. Now, we can do that. Technology allows us to think today, in ways who were not possible to do even 10 years ago. So we can think, in a much more creative way, and we can support creativity. So we can use formal tools and methodology, in order to help finding things that do not exist. And suggest to our clients, to the decision makers, ideas which until today were unconceivable. Now, this is a huge challenge, because it means opening a space, which until today was exclusivity of the intuition of policymakers. And it means putting our competencies, our skills in this setting. Let's talk about challenges. I will talk about 6 of them, more or less rapid. Minimal revision and update. Consider a very classical problem, which is facility location. A typical problem formulation of facility location is to minimize the openings, which is the variable xy, such that an adjacency matrix of a territory is covered, no? Because it means that every place is covered, no, by some opening. No? This is the typical formulation of a facility location problem. No? Now, suppose that you do that for some client, no? A rather expected result is that when the result comes, is to say, but that means that I have to open, let's say, 4 places. I don't have the money. No? So you will revise. No? What you are going to do, you will have to settle the problem which says that I want to maximize now openings, no? As much as possible covered, no? Under a budget constraint. No? You solve the problem, and then the client says, yes, but now I realize that the different openings do not have the same importance. No? These are shops. It's not the same opening in one place instead of another one. No? So, okay, so it's a weighted. No? The variables have a different importance. No? So it's a weighted opening. No? And then when he sees that, says, can we study the problem a little bit to see how openings and covering, no? And he will reformulate the objective problem instead of classic combinatorial optimization problem. Now, what is important in what I've shown you, no, is that if you see, the 4 problem formulations is using practically exactly the same information. There are minimal changes from one formulation to the other. No? The issue is there a way to do that on a formal basis? Can I move to one problem formulation to another, keeping as much of the information fixed, and then changing only what the client wants to revise? No? You see, if you consider, no, how hard it is to model and modify these problems, no, this makes a huge gain in efficiency, no, on solving this. Policy design. I will once again use an example. You have a territory, no? What you see there is a territory, no? These are parcels, and there is one which is forbidden, you cannot go through, no? And they tell you we have to cross it with a high voltage line, no? It comes from north, it goes to south, no? It is a critical infrastructure. The whole country depends, no, on whether power comes from north to south, because otherwise the south will, no? But it's also controversial in the sense that the people that live there says that they absolutely don't want to see a high voltage line above their heads, no? What do we do here? No? So what's the problem, no, in this case? No? Is it a problem of strategy? No? For instance, we could say the strategy is abandon the south. Who cares about it? Another strategy is to say, okay, we go, no, we pay 10 times more and we choose another way, no, to send electricity. No? We make the high voltage line going from somewhere else. No? There might be a problem of establishing a strategy. No? What's the overall strategy, no, about that? No? There could be a problem of technology. No? For instance, somebody could say, well, instead of having a high voltage line, what we are going to do is we are going to bring the power at the beginning of this area, then we are going to transform it in hydrogen. No? We're going to pipe the hydrogen under the territory, then we're going to collect it the other side of this valley, we're going to burn the hydrogen and get power. it seems a little bit science fiction. It's not that much, because there already exist this type of things, no? So as you see, there could be a technology assessment problem, whether it is technologically efficient, whether it makes sense, how much it costs, etc. No? There could be a problem of choosing a path. No? I could complicate it. There could be a problem of deciding how much time I want to expect before I make a firm decision. No? Because I could say, no, using real options theory, for instance, no, that I will postpone the decision for 2 years, and meanwhile I will put power on batteries which will be sent by trucks on the south. No? Because meanwhile I will see whether it is more convenient to deport people living in the south to the north and abandon the south completely. Okay? So there I could also have more alternatives, no? Using decision trees, real options, no? Considering uncertainties, no? So as you see, no? What do we measure? What's the value of decisions we are considering in this decision? No? Are we just replying to the set of decisions somebody else set? No? Or do we participating in setting the agenda of the decisions we are going to evaluate? No? Third challenge. What does it mean, a robust recommendation? No? This is a typical issue that clients say, I want you to recommend me something which is robust. No? But what robust? No? Well, it means a number of things. No? It means something that holds in most scenarios. No? So I make some hypotheses about the states of the world, no, in the future, no? The states of the natural, and my recommendation should hold in most of these scenarios, not in all perhaps, but in most. No? It should also hold, no, in most combination of parameters. No? Remember that what in many cases people do what they call sensitivity analysis. No? But this does not combine the parameters. No? It says I take a parameter and then I see what happens on the range of some variation. No? This is not what I'm talking about. No? What I'm talking about is what happens if I have combined variation of parameters. No? So I want something that will hold in most reliable and likely to occur combination of parameters. But then I want also something that will hold against most counter-arguments. No? What does it mean, counter-arguments? When you decide for somebody and you also decide against somebody. All decisions, no, are done also against somebody. There are no decisions that are good for everybody. No? So any decision, no, is also done against somebody. Well, these ones to which your decision goes against will react. It's natural. No? And they will try to counter-argument, to say you are making an error. It's a mistake. It's a problem. It's a catastrophe. It's whatever. No? Strikes. They're going to occupy the streets. I mean, no? It's obvious. No? How do you respond to these ones? No? How your recommendation will hold against the reaction of the ones to whom the policy goes against. No? So that means that in analyzing our policy, no, in justifying our policy, no, we need also to consider how this will be, what the reaction will be of those which are unhappy by this policy. Now, there are several things that we do because we consider a more fair distribution of resources, etc., etc. No? But there are also issues that concern us as decision analysts. No? What I mean by that? A way through which we legitimate decisions, no, is saying, for instance, we rejected Ivan from the caucus because the majority of the commission agreed that he does not fit the position. No? What does it mean, the majority? No? The idea of majority is not something which is established in a unique way. No? There are several different ways through which we compute the majority. No? Which majority we are talking about? If we have more than 3 candidates and more than 3 decision makers, no? There are n different ways through which a majority can be computed. Which one? Why we choose to use Volta, Kennedy, or whatever? No? This needs to be justified on formal grounds. No? It is not just because I like it, no, or because I'm acquainted to it. No? Each method has properties, satisfies axioms, no? Fits some information and does not fit other information. No? So when we argue saying that our recommendation is this one, we should be able to justify on substantial grounds, no? For instance, it is good, it does not expensive, etc., etc. But we need to justify it also on procedural grounds. The method we used is reliable. The method we used fits the information. No, it has been tested, etc., etc., etc. So we need to pay attention on arguing also about the method, not only about the substance. Now, if this needs to be done, no, then we need a methodology about what the decision problem is, no? And we need to identify what are the minimal and strictly necessary elements, no, with which we compose a decision model. No? Now, this is a talk that takes a couple of hours to make, but I will try to summarize it. No? What's a decision problem? Well, a decision problem is, from a very formal point of view, something very simple. You take a set in whatever way you want to define it, no? And you partition it. That's a decision problem. So it's something extremely simple. No? Of course, the partitioning of the set needs to be done following some properties. No? You want the classes to satisfy some properties. Now, what does matter, no, in choosing the way through the partitioning will happen? No? Now, despite decision theory being something very complicated, there are only 5 things that matter in that. No? What are these ones? The first one is the nature of the set A. Is it a combinatorial structure? It is an enumeration? It is a vector space? It is, etc., etc. No? This is something that has its importance. The second one is the problem statement, and we are going to talk about it immediately after. No? The third one is preferential independence. No? So whether preferences expressed on some dimension are independent of preferences expressed on another dimension. No? Fourth one is difference of preferences. How do we measure differences of preferences? No? And the last one is, how do we consider explicitly negative assessments? No? So how we consider things saying, I don't like something, not I like something. No? These 5 dimensions, these 5 features are necessary and sufficient to describe any decision method. I'm not going to demonstrate it here. No? Now, just for the problem statements, no? Problem statements is the agenda of our work, no? Which is what we are asked to do on the set A. No? And once again, there is a very finite way through which a formal problem can be established. And it has to do with how equivalence classes are constructed. These equivalence classes can be ordered or not. For instance, if you put candidates on first rank, second rank, third rank, these are ordered equivalence classes. If you put patients in illness, pneumonia, traumatology, etc., these are not ordered classes. And the other one is whether these are predefined or not. For instance, if you say that an hotel is a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, these are predefined classes. There is a norm about these ones. Instead, when you say this is my best candidate, these are, you don't have a standard, you just get the first one. Okay? Now, this one defines the 4 categories of any decision problem, which is rating, ordered and predefined classes, ranking, ordered, not predefined classes, clustering, which is unordered and not predefined classes, and assignment, which is not ordered but predefined classes. Any decision problem fits one of these categories. With the 2 special cases you see there. Now, on that basis, you have a precise way through which you can construct the reasons for which a method is used. And this is how you construct a methodology of how these things need to be used. Let's go rapidly. The 5th challenge is about reference learning. So remember that most of the times, people reason in terms of revealed preferences. It is the typical thing that do economists. They observe the market, they observe the consumers, and this reveals preferences. This is not what we are talking about. We are talking about eliciting the subjective preferences of a decision maker. We are considering eliciting first and second order preferences. So first order preferences, I prefer X to Y for the price, and I prefer Y to X for the color, and then color is more important than price. This is a second order preference. So you need to elicit this type of preferences. You need to do it on a sequential basis. So as I learn something, I know how to make the next question. So there is a dynamic organization of the chain that leads you to doing that. Potentially, I do it using a whole model. So I try to learn a whole model at once. For instance, as we do with CP-nets, so it's with conditional preference, where there is no preferential independence. So we try to learn the whole CP-net at once. And it also addresses the issue of information fusion, but at this stage I cannot go further on that. Last but not least challenge is the problem of measuring things that are very strange. You see, policy, for a large extent, it needs to be assessed. We need to say that the happiness of the citizens is bigger, that inequalities have been reduced, that inclusion has been increased, that citizenship is much more, things like that. How do we measure that? And how do we consider the fact that most of these ones have a strong subjective dimension? How much I feel personally of being included in the society? How poor I feel or how rich I feel? These are very subjective issues. Well, that implies targeting the population. It means clustering the population. It means working with capability theory. Ivan can tell you much more about that, no? Despite it does not fit the position. So this is a big challenge, no? On how we are able to cluster the population and target possibly every single citizen on what he expects from his life. No? Let's conclude. Policy making is a big challenge, no? Because things have changed, and today our societies know, no, that it is very complicated to do it in an appropriate way. No? It is also a big business. Today, most of the large service providers, IBM, Google, LinkedIn, no, are making huge investments, no, in supporting utilities, public services, policy making, no, things like that. Huge investments. No? Consider that IBM hired for the Smarter Cities Lab in Ireland 100 PhDs in 2 years and a half. No? This gives you an idea, no, of how big is the business for these companies. No? So, what does it mean for us in terms of researchers, of teachers, no, of decision analysts? It means that we have to be aware of this challenge. No? We need to go, no, to accept this challenge, no, in terms of research, in terms of training, and also in terms of practice. No? And just for advertisement, most of the things I've taught here are in these 2 pages, you know, which you can also collect from my webpage. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alexis. About experience, can I say that I was fascinated because when you were speaking, I was thinking, asking you to know 2004, and the policeman, and Mandala Shiva, what it was. So, he is saying a sort of small history of the last 10 years, I don't know, for the ancient one, maybe. So, with a simple way for people that are multidisciplinary, so with different profiles. And I thank you for this. And now, if there are some questions, we can ask to Alexis to answer. Is there one?
Okay, it's a comment. I really enjoyed your presentation. You must know that there are now very important decisions being taken in the future of the organization of trade market between the States and Europe. And there are many people claiming that the process to reach to this decision is nothing but what you have exposed. So, do you have some comments on the methodology which is being used by the European Union with respect to what you recommend?
Do you want to know my personal opinion? Or my opinion as a decision analyst?
As a decision analyst. The personal decision we discuss it after.
As a decision analyst, what I can say is that the process is badly instructed. But most of policy-making processes are badly instructed. No? But it could be for purpose. I mean, it depends. You see, policymakers, no, there are issues on which they seek legitimation ex ante, and others in which they seek legitimation ex post. The one we are talking about, the legitimation does not come from the European citizens. No? So why they should care about it? I understand why they do it, although I do not approve it. So if I see what is happening, no, I understand what's happening, although I'm not necessarily very happy with that. But this is my personal opinion as a citizen. No, it's not my, I tell you, it is a process for which, to my opinion, is badly instructed.
Okay, if I understood correctly, you said that any decision context has different possibilities to be implemented. So, do you have any way to kind of manage the way to design how it will be implemented? I don't know if this is clear, my question.
I tried to sketch that, no? But it will take me much more time to explain it in more details. However, there are two papers, no, in which we try to sketch, let's say, methodology on how to do that. No? The first one is on the concept of decision aiding process. No? The idea is how to see decision aiding in terms of a process generating cognitive artifacts, no? Which are consensual and shared between the analyst and the client. No? So there is a general framework in identifying what are these artifacts. No? So it's a checklist, no? Mainly for people starting this profession, let's say, no? That allows to have an idea on how, no, on where they could go through. No? Once again, you can find the paper on my webpage. No? The other paper is what is a decision point. No? It is a paper I published last year with Alberto Colombi, no? In the Proceedings of Algorithmic Decision Theory, no? In which we try to sketch instead what are the technical features that characterize the construction of a decision point. No? So it is what I presented here when I told you that there are only 5 things that matter. No? It is explained in a little bit more details in this paper. No? So, yes, there is a methodology under construction. No? And of course, what I say here, no, it is my personal contribution. No? If you go on the papers, you will see also what people contribute from other areas. It's not only me that does that. No? This is a general, let's say, problem, no, that many people we share, no, in the decision theory community, no, on how to construct a methodology, no, on that. No? But there is some work. Otherwise, next time we make another lecture on how this methodology is constructed.
The next one. Next year.
I was thinking about environmental democracy before, because the main environmental conflict in Italy is quite of interest in our region, that is Taranto Steel Factory. And I was thinking also about the question of how to fit democracy in the way of we decided, because democracy is a convention, and the decision-making process try to represent the convention of the democracy. I was speaking before, and is a trade-off between work and health. It's quite classical history, but how to model, it's a way, a question about perception, that we are going to lose the wellness of 15,000 people against the health of 185,000 people that are the order of the common good. There is some method that can cross through of the crucial question that you showed before. and maybe you can give some indication if there are this method. The first one is about how to measure majority. Okay. The second one is time, because it's a dynamic process in which in the future maybe also the 15 winner against the 185,000 loser in the conflict became a loser. So it's a time projection and perspective. And the third one is how to improve the information process to understand that maybe the common and goods that are or property of the majority of people. Health is coming from environment, from some preservation. So we are mediating for common loser, for common good, and the loser is the owner of the common good. And this was something that in some way you said also. Is there a method that can join this? Majority in the democratic sense, pure democratic sense, weighting and giving value to common goods that are measurable as well, not only in this case, for instance, earth damage or something like this, and democracy in the representative way.
If I have to be very frank, I don't think so. And I don't think that it will ever exist one. No? Arab theory. No? To go a little bit more provocative, I don't think that exists a common good. There are goods for citizens, for social groups, for social classes. Goods can be clustered, no? Stakes, interests, etc., etc. I don't think there is a good for everybody, no? Economically speaking, no? There always be somebody losing from any allocation of resources, no? So there is no something like a common good. You could say there is a good for the majority. Yes, there is a problem, no? The first one is, how do we count the majority? What's exactly majority? Which is a controversial issue. The second thing is that there might be things, no, that the majority wants, no, but are not legitimate. For instance, death penalty. If we ask what the majority wants today, it might want at the same time environmental protection, health insurance, and death penalty. Do we accept all things that the majority wants or not? And how do we choose the ones which are politically correct and the ones which are not? No? So the idea of following the majority, no, it's dangerous, no? Not to talk about how the majority opinion is formed and by whom, no? What does it mean? No, I am strongly persuaded, no, that what we have to do is to work correctly for clients, no, but not for a common good. I'm going to work for a client representing one of the stakeholders, not necessarily a decision maker, one of the potential stakeholders. Perhaps most of them. I could also do that on a critical basis, you know, saying, pay attention, this is something that others do not like, there might be a conflict, this is controversial, no? But we are mercenaries, no? Working for somebody. We are not working for something, for some abstract notion, no, of public good. No? We are making, I mean, I could work for a large social group adversing some policy. If they pay me, I will do it. No? I could also, no, do not accept to work for somebody which I don't like, although he might pay me. No, that's my personal ethical problem, no? So if I'm asked to work for Mr. Riva, for instance, I will not do it because I don't like it, no? But that's my problem, no? But whatever we do, no, it has a subjective validity. There are no objective policies. Policies have a subjective validity. They are good for somebody, and of course they will be bad for somebody else. So you always have to choose which part you stand for. You don't stand for everybody.
May I